All right, good afternoon. Welcome to C&T Collectibles. I'm C.
I'm T.
All right, and we collect. So we've got a mail day here. It's well overdue. It's been backing up, overflowing my mail bin here. So we wanted to go through a few things. And so don't be daunted by the stack. A lot of these are duplicates or the same player. And we just want to cover some of the players that we've been talking about in recent videos and a brief synopsis of why we're doing them and all that kind of good stuff. But we'll try and keep it short here. What do you say?
I say yes.
You say yes. All right, so we'll start with some cards that I liked from back in the day. And these are the Sport Flicks, and this is the Barry Bonds. So ignore the price. I think I paid $6 for the entire lot of these. So they're
It does say $6 on
yeah. It's not six a piece. It's more like six for the whole thing. It was an auction or whatever, and maybe people don't want like 10 Sport Flicks Barry Bonds, but I think these are really cool cards. I like the 3D, and see, these were some of the first ones, and I think the Barry Bond market's been heating up for a while, and they'll probably continue to do so. The guys likely gets into the Hall of Fame at some point here, and I just like Barry Bonds in general, and these are ones that I remember way back in the day, and again I saw them. Someone did a video on them, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably get some of those, and that was a pretty good deal.
And Barry Bonds should have been in the Hall of Fame, and
Well,
if he didn't take drugs.
There's that part, yeah. So coulda, shoulda, but see if I can get these to stand up. Maybe not. So Joe Mauer. All right, as Twins fans, it's embarrassing that we didn't have a Joe Mauer. But I didn't really collect in 2002. I collected in the late 80s to early 90s, and then again with the last couple of years, you got me back into it here. So we didn't have much in the way of Joe Mauer. But the reason for kind of picking these up now is he's a Hall of Famer.
He should be.
He should be. It's a little early for him. He just retired a couple of years ago, so he's got to wait a few years. Got to wait 5 years after you retire. But if you look at the top 11 catchers, there's 16 catchers in the Hall of Fame. The top 11 ranked by WAR, 10 of them are in the Hall of Fame. The only one not in the Hall of Fame is
Joe Mauer.
Joe Mauer, exactly. So he was the first catcher to win a batting title since like 1942. He won 3 of them. He had 6 All-Star games, Gold Glove. I mean, all-around player. His offensive peak was pretty darn incredible for a catcher. And he was a great defensive catcher as well. And so if you look at Yadi Molina, his defensively, he's like the defensive standard for catcher. A lot of people assume that he's a Hall of Famer. And so you could say Yadi's in, and if you look at his cards right now, his PSA 10 is about $350. Joe Mauer's sitting around $250. Yadi's PSA $900. Joe Mauer's around $40 or $50. A raw Yadi will cost you $30. These you can still get for $4 or $5. So I think there's one, we should have a Joe Mauer. That's the most important thing. 2, I think these are sorely undervalued, and as people catch on to the fact that he's going into the Hall of Fame, I think there's a lot of upside to these cards. So you have the chrome. These are the 2002 tops. They were just gold in general. So I should get a real gold, but these are gold in general. And these were what they called the Bowman Pristine or something like that, refractor.
Really cool how they have like Minneapolis in the back.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got our city back there, so that's pretty nice to see as well. So kind of in the same vein is Scott Rolen. Now, this is a player that has the commensurate war to be in the Hall of Fame, but the counting stats weren't there. He's a terrific defender. He's a fan favorite. And he's getting a little bit of love this year for Hall of Fame voting. But when you look at hits, a little over 2,000, not a ton of home runs, nothing else sticks out. So he's kind of on the fence. I think he's a little bit better than on the fence, and the market's kind of pricing him as the wrong side of the fence. So like he's not getting in. I think there's a decent chance he gets in. And if he doesn't, you can get these cool refractors for, I think, like 25 bucks or something like that. And the PSA 9 was 50, and I think his 10 is maybe a little bit undervalued, but if he does get in, then this card should double. It should be a $100 card. So we'll see how it goes. But I always like Scott Rolen, and happy to have his card either way, whatever happens. But there's upside there for those who are interested in that sort of thing. All right.
And the next player
Let's get into speculation mode.
Alex Bregman.
Alex Bregman. There's too much hate around Alex Bregman. So we were getting his PSA 10 for $30. I bought a lot of his cards, not a lot, but a lot of, like, what was it, 9 or 10 or something like that. You could get those for, just as base, for less than $1 a card. I think that's too cheap for Alex Bregman. I mean, this was a guy that came in the season. He was an all-star. He was, MVP candidate his first couple of years, and then they took away his garbage can, and then he didn't do too well last year.
So he had another chance to prove himself without AJ Hinch on his team.
Yeah. So I think that he will have I'm guessing he'll have a good season, and these cards will get back to where they were. But the blues, I think, are pretty interesting. So they're numbered out of 150 or something like that. Let's see. Yeah, there it is.
150.
Yeah. So, and right now these you can get these for between $60 and $70, which is, I wouldn't normally get the blues of a player, but when you're looking at other players kind of in this vein, if you look at like the Pete Alonsos of the world and stuff like that, players that, again, his PSA 10 cards are going for a similar amount as Alex Bregman, and maybe they shouldn't be or whatever. I mean, you're going to pay double that. You're going to pay $150 for an ungraded or a PSA 9 or something like that. So I think these are cheap, and to get a player that I think is going to be really, really good, get back on track, that's a pretty low risk reward entry or whatever. And I like 2017, 2018, when they had the parallels kind of fill up the whole card. I always thought those were kind of nice.
And they look nice right now, too.
They do. So I like Alex Bregman. Happy to have, though. So, all right, let's get into full-on speculation mode here. Gleyber Torres. I think some parts of his stuff is cheap. Okay, I like the pink. And then when you get into the graded stuff, you have his PSA 10, which is about a $75 card. Whether or not that's the price, whether or not it should be, I don't know. I mean, he had a pretty lousy last year, but an incredible 2019. And so if he can, it's a Yankee, there's going to be a premium on that.
Because the Yankees are probably the best team in the league, except the Dodgers are catching up.
Well,
the Dodgers are catching up.
They're right there, but Yankees have this national fan base, and so there's always demand for Yankee players. Now, what I thought was interesting, putting this on the video last week, was his PSA 9 was selling for under $15. Okay, if a PSA 10 is about $75, then PSA 9 should probably be closer to $25. And so, with that thinking, it's like, I think the PSA 9 has room to go up just to catch up to where the PSA 10 is at. And so I was able to get 5 of these in a sale for under $60 shipped. So my cost on these was $12, thinking that, if these can be $25 cards, you double your money. Just to get to where the PSA is. You should be able to get, 3 PSA 9s for a PSA 10. For the most part, and there's fluctuation in there. So the PSA 10 is still around $75, but now these are going between $25. There's still some sales in the upper teens, but there have been sales in the $25 to $30 area. So these have doubled, and the PSA 10 has stood still. So I think when you're looking at cards, if you're trying to do this to flip, make money or whatever, look at the ungraded, look at the 9, look at the 10, and see if there's some sort of dislocation, right? You want the 10 to be 3 times as much as a 9, and you want a raw, you want a 10 to be almost 8 to 10 times as much as a raw. So if there's anything different in there, then you can there's an opportunity to make a deal. All right.
The next player is
Vladito, player we've talked about as well, and kind of the same thing. Here's the short print. So players I like, and I like Vladdy. Try and get the short print. I think these are, they're probably fine. They're probably a little
They used to be a terrible team, but now they have some better players with Boba.
Yeah.
Now they got Hyunjin Ryu and Vladdy.
Right. Nate Pearson is coming up. I mean, he should be pretty good here. I mean, then you've got Kevin Biggio. I think will have a good year. Lourdes Gurriel. I mean, there's some real solid talent on that team here.
Vladdy,
Let's not forget the key to the team. How does Rowdy Tellez do this year? That's all going to hinge on him. So,
but Vladdy is a big part of that team.
We hope so. So I like him in general. But again, this was a situation where his PSA 10 is going for $150 and his PSA 9 is going for around $25 to $30. Should be maybe a $50 or $60 card if he has a good spring training. Then I think that's the case here. So the PSA 10, I don't know if that's fully valued or not, but the 9s I think are undervalued relative to that. And so we like Vladdy. All right.
The next player is Ronald Acuna.
Yeah, so I like shiny, and that's the reason for this one for the most part. I just wanted to have it. And I like Acuna in general, so the complete set, the foil. I'm not huge on the relic things or whatever, but it was an Acuna card that I didn't have. So I wanted to get a few more Acunas while his price was lowish. So it was when I was looking at these, it was about $165 card. But the PSA 9s were selling for $40, which I thought was too cheap relative to the $165. Figure they should be at least $55. Just if that price stays at $165. Thought that price would rise as well, but I thought these were cheap relative to the price at the time. So won auctions, so got all these between $39 and $41. And that is now, so my price target was about $55 to $60, and that's where it's at right now. The PSA 10 is ripping, so we'll throw up the chart real quick here, but you can see that it's broken out of its downtrend here, and that's a big move here. So you could see this become a $250 card on the PSA 10 in pretty short order, which would put this PSA 9 at about an $80 card. So while the PSA 10 went up nicely from 160 to 250, it's not quite a double, but the PSA 9 from a $40 to an $80 card is a double. So I think there's outperformance possible in that PSA 9. Same with
the last player is
who?
Juan Soto.
All right, so got a couple of these. So these have been pretty cheap, and I think a little too cheap or whatever. I think the refractor was around 20, and the base was around 10 or 11. They're probably going up now, but I don't know. There is a update version of, or a 3D version of the update card, and that's a pretty pricey card here. So this is the Topps Now Ghetto version.
Home run.
I think it looks good. Ready and quick swing. Yeah.
Home
So
run.
and then a seller was nice enough to throw this in with a purchase. I bought one of these things and they just threw that in. It's like, well, nothing to shake a stick at here. That's pretty generous of them. So, but what I was kind of really going for were, again, the PSA 9 I felt were undervalued to the PSA 10. These were in the $50 range, while the PSA 10 was sitting around 180 to $190 or something like that. So I figured these could be, these should be $60, $70 cards. Ultimately looking for Juan Soto to creep back up into that $250, maybe $300 range before the season starts. He's back at that $300 range, and these are sitting at $80 or $90. So they've held their own. They've gone up roughly the same percentage as the PSA 10. But for my purposes, I can get some of these, and then you and Henry someday will have a Juan Soto, and I didn't have to shell out $900 for it.
I already have one.
Yeah, I know you did. Well, you got that from me as well. Anyways, I'm not a horrible dad, am I?
No, not.
Okay, all right. So, anyways, I thought there was a slight opportunity in the 9. And I can rarely tell the difference between 9s and 10s in the first place. But for the 10s, I think they're going to track pretty similarly. So for this one, you kind of go with, I think, a 9 in like the Acuna. There's still more catching up to do. A 9 in the Soto, I think that it's more about your pocketbook and what you're willing to spend, because I think the 10s and 9s will kind of track similarly from here. And honestly, I'm thinking that these make their way upwards of $130, $150 during the season, while the PSA...
They should. If they have a good season, they will.
And no reason to think he won't. And the PSA 10s are looking like they are on track for upwards of $400 to $450. So crazy stuff, man. So yeah, mail day. I'm probably not gonna have too many more of these, because I'm just gonna kind of getting priced out of the market here for what I want. So we got enough of a backlog to do a few more of these, but we'll probably cool it until prices at some point settle, and that could be a couple of years, who knows. But for now, just kind of our thought process and what we're doing here. So thanks for watching, and have a great rest of the day. Bye.